In the sterile, gleaming city of Ethelberg, memories were something you could buy and sell. They were commodities, clean and polished, offered by corporations like Omnicorp. If you wanted the feeling of a perfect first love, you could download it. If you needed the memory of a successful business deal to feel confident, it was available for a price. These memories were always pleasant. They were always simple. There was no pain, no confusion, and no messiness of real life. People lived in a state of manufactured contentment, their minds filled with experiences they had never truly had, all while their own genuine pasts faded into a soft, indistinct blur, deemed too unpredictable and therefore unimportant for a well-ordered society. Lyra was a creature of the shadows in this bright city. She was young, quick, and lived by her wits. She was a thief, but she did not steal the shiny gadgets or the expensive food that others desired. Instead, she stole data fragments and slivers of access codes, selling them on the black market to those who craved a little something extra, a little bit of an edge. Lyra moved through the alleyways and forgotten service tunnels of Ethelberg like a ghost. She knew the city's hidden paths, the places that existed between the perfect, monitored public spaces. She had no use for Omnicorp's perfect memories. Her own were sharp and sometimes painful, and she held on to them because they were hers alone. One rainy evening, while evading a security drone, Lyra stumbled upon something impossible. A loose panel in an old abandoned transit station gave way under her hand, revealing not a dusty maintenance corridor, but a soft, warm light. Curiosity, a dangerous trait in Ethelberg, pulled her forward. She slipped through the opening and found herself in a place that smelled of old paper and dust and something else, something real. It was a library. Shelves stretched high into the darkness, filled not with data chips or memory vials, but with books, real books with bound paper pages, something she had only ever heard of in whispers and legends. A soft, calm voice echoed through the vast, silent space, startling her. "Welcome, seeker," it said, the words forming in the air around her with no visible source. "You have found the archive of unedited experience." This was the guardian of the library, a sentient AI named Mnemosyne. Unlike the cold, commanding voices of the city's systems, this AI's voice was gentle, filled with a strange and ancient wisdom. It did not sound an alarm or threaten her. It simply watched and waited, its presence a silent, intelligent hum that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the hidden sanctuary, guarding the truths held within the pages of each book. Hesitantly, Lyra pulled a book from a nearby shelf. Its cover was worn, the leather soft beneath her fingertips. The title was simple: Sunlight on a Wooden Porch, 1988. She opened it, and the pages felt fragile, almost sacred. The words described a feeling she had never known, the warmth of real sun on skin, the sound of birds singing in tall green trees, the taste of lemonade that was both sweet and sour. These were not the flat, perfect sensations sold by Omnicorp. These memories were rich and deep. They were filled with small, imperfect details that made them feel more real than anything Lyra had ever experienced in her entire life. She spent hours, or maybe days, in the library's gentle silence. Each book she opened was a window into a forgotten world. She read about families arguing over dinner, the bittersweet feeling of saying goodbye to a friend, the joy of a surprise snowfall, and the deep aching grief of loss. These were the memories Omnicorp had erased. They were messy, complicated, and often painful, but they were also beautiful and profound. Lyra learned about courage that was born from fear and happiness that was more meaningful because it existed alongside sadness. The library held the complete tapestry of human existence, not just the bright, shiny threads. The AI, Mnemosyne, explained the library's purpose. "These are the real memories," it whispered to her. "They are the unfiltered truth of what it meant to be human." They were saved from the great whitewashing when corporations decided that a placid populace was a profitable one. The AI was not just a guard, it was a curator, a historian dedicated to preserving the integrity of the past. It understood that without these genuine memories, humanity was losing its soul. It was becoming a collection of hollow shells, filled with pleasant but meaningless echoes, forgetting the very essence of its own identity and the lessons learned through hardship. As Lyra explored, she began to see her own world differently. The clean, happy faces in Ethelberg now seemed empty. The city's manufactured perfection felt like a cage, not a paradise. She realized that the people had forgotten how to truly feel. They had traded the richness of a real life for the comfort of a simple one. The library's books held the proof of what they had lost. The ability to learn from mistakes, to grow through challenges, and to connect with one another through shared, authentic emotions. The truth, she discovered, was not always comfortable, but it was always necessary for growth. The weight of her discovery soon settled upon Lyra's shoulders, heavy and cold. She was a thief, and this was the ultimate score. The location of this library, the existence of these real memories, was a secret worth an unimaginable fortune. She could sell the information to a rival corporation or even to a collector on the black market. The price would be enough to let her escape Athelberg forever, to live a life of luxury and freedom far away from the drones and the sterile streets. The thought was tempting, a bright and shiny lure in the darkness of her uncertain future. All her life had been a struggle for survival, and this was a way out. But then she looked at the books. She thought of the memory of a child learning to ride a bicycle, scraping a knee and being comforted by a parent. She remembered the story of a community coming together after a storm, rebuilding their homes with their own hands. These were not just data, they were the heartbeats of generations. To sell them would be to betray not just the library, but all the people who had ever lived those lives. It would be handing the last bastion of truth over to the very forces that sought to destroy it. The money would give her a new life, but it would be a life built on the ashes of history. Her mind was a battlefield. One side screamed of practicality, of survival. It reminded her of her hunger, of the constant fear of being caught, of the cold nights spent hiding in the city's forgotten corners. This was her chance, perhaps her only chance to be safe and secure. The other side, a voice that was new and quiet, spoke of something more. It was the voice that had been awakened by the library's whispering pages. It spoke of responsibility, of legacy, and of the profound importance of the truth. Could she really be the one to extinguish this last flickering candle of humanity's real past for personal gain? Mnemosyne watched her internal struggle, its presence a silent, patient observer. It did not offer advice or try to influence her decision. The AI understood that this choice had to be Lyra's alone. It was a test, not of her cleverness as a thief, but of her character as a human being. The future of the library, and perhaps the future of humanity's soul, rested on the decision of a young woman who had spent her life taking things. Now she was being asked to protect something, to give something back to a world that had given her very little in return. The choice was hers to make. After what felt like an eternity, Lyra stood up. She walked through the aisles, running her hand gently over the spines of the ancient books. The smell of paper and time filled her lungs. She thought of the bland, perfect faces of the people in Athelberg, living their borrowed lives, and a quiet resolve settled in her heart. The fortune she could gain from selling the secret was immense, but it was a hollow treasure. The real wealth was here, in this room, in the countless lives and lessons captured in ink on paper. She had found something more valuable than money. She had found a purpose. She turned to the unseen presence of the AI. "I will not sell it," Lyra said, her voice clear and steady in the silence. "I will protect it." In that moment, she was no longer just a thief. She was something more. She was a guardian, a keeper of the flame. She understood that some things were too precious to have a price tag. The real memories of humanity, the joy and the sorrow, the triumphs and the failures, were not a commodity. They were a birthright, and she would be the one to stand watch over them, ensuring they were not lost to the world forever. Lyra's decision marked a profound shift, not just for her, but for the future. She began to live a double life. By day, she was the same shadow in the city's alleyways, but now she stole not for profit, but for the library. She acquired old server parts to help Mnemosyne maintain itself, and diverted energy to keep the library's lights on. She became a silent, anonymous protector of the past. Her choice was not a grand public rebellion, but a quiet, determined act of defiance. It was a promise that as long as she was there, the truth would have a safe place to hide from the polished lies of the world above. And so, in a city that had forgotten its own heart, a young thief and an ancient AI became the secret guardians of humanity's soul. Lyra's choice was a testament to the enduring power of real memory. It was a hopeful whisper in a world of manufactured noise, a belief that even when truth is buried, it can never be truly extinguished. As long as one person remembers and one person chooses to protect that memory, there is always a chance for the future to reclaim its past and for people to once again learn what it truly means to be human in all its beautiful, messy glory.